So going to high school, hated it.
To see the wealth that they were.
Yeah, it was really hard because
birthday
it was
gifts
like,
were brand new Mustangs and brand new Mercedes. And
well, I have to say this. Let's talk about the move to Texas. The cultural difference of Texas to Chicago in the late 1970s, early 80s was a complete
culture shock.
Complete 180 from what we were. Yeah, in Chicago, in the neighborhood we lived in, was like old country Italian people lived there and their kids. So you got old school people raising their kids old school ways. Girls didn't shave their legs. I didn't shave my legs. You didn't wear makeup in 6th grade, 11 years old. It was just the very hint of a beginning of where you like boys and boys might like you, and you were just starting in that realm. You know, it was very innocent.
It was very nice,
It wasn't all disgusting. Of course, you
that
had
was
some
your
boys
favorite.
that were pervy.
You always used to say that was your favorite house we lived in, your favorite school. You just loved your life at that time.
Oh yeah, that was another. We were very upset having to move to Texas. I think Terry was upset also. I was really upset. It was my best school year I'd ever had. I was really popular at that school. I had a ton of friends. It wasn't like I was the queen,
right? No.
But I had a really big group of friends, and it was fun. I mean, and I was going to go out for
fun.
As people who know me today would think this is hilarious, but I was going to go out for cheerleader in 7th grade, and I, had girlfriends, and it was just awesome. And I remember one of my best friends in 6th grade, her name was Joanne Biancalana. That was her name, Joanne Biancalana, and I actually saw her on Facebook. I found her on Facebook. I didn't friend her because I didn't think she'd know who the hell I was.
Oh, you should. You might be surprised.
But, and I was like, is that her? But
be a blast from the past.
She was married and has 3 kids. Still in Chicago, outside Chicago. Still same area. Anyhow, so all the friends seemed like Italian. Italian.
I remember you used to go have lunch with some girl.
Maria.
At her house.
She was Maria. Now I'm not sure if she was.
And she had foreign
She was
parents.
also Italian. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, I can remember going to lunch at Maria's house. Her parents were older, so I think she had older siblings. She was a midlife child.
Like that midlife crisis baby.
Yeah, but I remember there was her dad was volatile. There was a big screaming match of some sort that went on when I was there one time, and I was freaked out by it. I don't remember what it was about, but I can remember being dazzled because they cooked.
Yes.
They grilled steaks in the middle of the day on a weekday
for
lunch, for us for lunch. And I was like, who does that?
Yeah,
and I'm like, I had many friends
old country parents do that.
Really into food, man.
Yeah, they are into food.
And the women who stayed home really cooked. Like, I had a friend, another girl who I actually wasn't friends with because I thought she was a little weird, but she was a really nice girl. She was Greek, and her mom and her family was
the
Greek.
One I remember,
And her mom made for lunch and had her invite, there were several of us that came to lunch at her house that day. And she, her mom made homemade lasagna from scratch, which I was also amazed by, and it was delicious. And then, but she was also the girl.
I wonder if she was Greek, I wonder if that was moussaka, which you would think of like lasagna, because it's layered and it's, and it's real. It's like a white bechamel.
She called it lasagna, so it was actual lasagna. I don't think it was moussaka or whatever they call it with the eggplant and whatnot.
Right.
Yeah, it was not eggplant. She also had made pizza from scratch. The deep dish. The mother.
Oh my!
I went there twice. I think a couple times. The girl I thought was really, and I can't even remember her name for the life of me, but I know her last name was some kind of.
You know what you could do? You could look in your yearbook. Or
I don't have a yearbook.
Go online and look up 1970 something yearbook of 6th grade, and you'll get names.
Maybe. But her one day she would be the one that said, I guess we were talking about religion, like as kids you always say, well, are you Catholic? What are you? No, I'm Lutheran, I'm Protestant, I'm whatever. And she was Catholic, like Greek Orthodox Catholic or whatever. And I remember her saying, isn't the communion part of church, isn't that, she was in awe, she was dazzled by that, isn't that amazing? He's making a miracle occur. When you're watching that, a miracle is happening. That's what she said to me.
Wow, priests would love to
hear that.
And I
was like, what the hell is she talking about? A miracle is occurring. She's crazy. That's what, because and oddly, just recently, Wayne was like, Catholics, that's what they believe, that's an actual miracle happening right there, that it's turning the wine and whatever,
into the blood and body of Jesus Christ. Yeah.
I'm like, no, they don't. It's a symbolic thing. He's like, no, I'm telling you, it's for real. And then he read it to me, and I was like, my whole life, I did not know they actually were thinking it's real.
I've
really
never thought of
real.
it like that. I mean, I know that's what the priest
I'm thinking
is.
symbolic, but he's saying that true Catholics believe that that's real.
Well, then I'm not a true Catholic.
No, I'm not true Catholic, but people do believe. That's what you're supposed to believe.
It's supposed to be the body and it's a representation to me of the body and blood of Christ.
That's what I thought too. I thought it was just symbolic. But no, apparently you're supposed to really buy into that he's turned it in. The priest is transformed. Mm-hmm. The cracker.
I'll have to research that one because that just.
I didn't believe it. I was arguing with him for the light, and then he found it and read it, and I was like, "Wow, holy shit!" Yeah, I'm gonna ask.
So here she wasn't so crazy after all.
Yeah, and I thought of her immediately. I was like, "Oh, so that girl wasn't as wacky. She was a little too bubbly, happy for me, I guess. I'm too happy." My friend.
Now that reminds me of David watching videos. Said, "Oh, they're too happy for me." They're way too happy.
So. Moving to Texas. Okay, so we go from this sort of innocent, idyllic time frame, where we're told, How
did I tell you we were moving? Oh, well, I guess when Ramon stayed at the YMCA downtown and we were deposited on the Greyhound bus, that's when you knew.
I still didn't believe it, even then. It wasn't until, I guess, we really started packing up the house and stuff, but it was kind of hazy that time for me. I don't really remember a lot of that. I just remember being really upset, So I know that everybody knew at school because they had a party for me at school, the teacher, and of course everybody started calling me Tex because the vision of what Texas was nobody knew.
Right.
People thought everybody was
Cowboy
on horseback
movies,
and wearing hats, and which wasn't the case at all. And so when we moved here, I was shocked by the fast moving young people, like how far ahead they were with like sex and the way they talked, and the girls looked like prostitutes. They were so made up with makeup and their hair and the legs shaving and the shaving and the big hair and the tight clothes, and everything was really just bam, and we're talking, these were 12-year-old girls that I was going to, 12 and 13-year-old girls were like made up like streetwalkers. They were wearing skin-tight designer pants, and it seemed like, I can remember going back to school after Christmas, the first Christmas we were down here, which, as we always joke about, was so depressing, even though it was bright and sunny. It was like 75 degrees, like a beautiful day, not a cloud in the sky, but it was 75 degrees on Christmas.
Right.
So we were like, all of us so bummed out.
I can remember driving Uncle Eddie's.
Yeah, we were driving Uncle Eddie's.
This is Christmas
in Texas? We just thought it was horrible. And I remember I got it was just what a bummer. You're used to having, at the very least, cold. And if not cold, snow and cold on Christmas. You just were not, it was just not Christmas. It didn't feel like Christmas at all.
None of the malls were decorated like in Chicago. Every street would have lights and beautiful decorations. And they didn't have that here.
Yeah. It was just warm.
Even now, they still don't have it. We've progressed 34 years from there.
Yeah.
And people don't have it. You will have a sprinkling of houses, and maybe certain neighborhoods will decorate, like the Memorial area, if you go drive over there. But your average American here does not do what we did back home.
Right. That's true. So we, it was such a bummer. But coming out back to school after Christmas, our homeroom team, we had homeroom at that time. Like, you go to the homeroom first, and then
that's even in junior high?
Yeah, you would be dispersed to your other classes afterward. And,
that's right, because we don't have junior high in Chicago.
Yeah. So the homeroom teacher asked, what everybody do on their break, and what'd you get for Christmas? And so these kids were coming up with, I got $1,000, I got a bunch of clothes and whatever, and I'm like, remember thinking, $1,000? That was like outrageous to me. Like, I couldn't believe kids were getting $1,000 for Christmas. I mean, like, who the hell gets that? And it just seems so bizarre. I know I certainly wasn't getting $1,000 for Christmas.
That's for sure.
So it was just a real eye-opener. I felt immediately like a country bumpkin off the farm, like Rebecca's Sunnybrook Farm or something, like just this innocent idiot. Like I didn't know anything. I didn't have the right clothes. I didn't have the right knowledge of anything. I didn't even shave my legs, which girls noticed and said stuff about. Yeah, so it wasn't like they never noticed. It was like, why don't you shave your legs? Like, what the hell? You're like a big
barbarian. Yeah, you're like a barbarian.
So I can remember begging you to let me shave my legs, and you guys finally let me do it. So
wow.
So I was, I think, 12. So then, and I think you said, remember, once you start shaving your legs, the hair is going to grow back a lot faster, and it's going to be
darker
and horrible, scratchy, and it was. But it was worth it. I don't think I was allowed to wear makeup really until 8th grade. I was allowed to wear a little tiny bit of makeup, but not much. It wasn't until like high school that you
think about it. Did you really want to look like a tramp?
No, but
don't you want to be beautiful?
You don't want to be the odd person out, the odd girl out, where everybody else is wearing makeup and you're not. So back to high school. Then we move out to Katy, which I felt I was being sent to some sort of farm prison camp out here. You literally had to drive miles to get to a grocery store.
Right,
at that time.
We'd go to Jumbos. We'd go to Jumbos up on Beltway 8 and Westheimer. Where Joey worked.
There was grocery stores on Highway 6. We would go to the Safeway, I think, on Highway 6 too sometimes.
I don't even remember that.
Yeah, there was a grocery store up there.
I evidently didn't care for that. I love Jumbos though, and
so
Jumbos dissipated
into the city to go to Jumbos
decades ago.
So it was just a real shocker all the way around. So the wealthy kids, and you couldn't infiltrate that clique. You really couldn't. Those kids really knew each other for years and years and years, and it was an exclusive group. And I can even remember like a new kid.
You weren't wealthy.
Yeah, that was true. There was this one kid, I'll never forget it. There was a kid, he was a jock, he played football. I want to say his last name was, it was an Italian name. His first name was Christopher, his last name started with a C, like Campolitano or something like that. I can't remember. It's in my yearbook if I wanted to dig it out. But he was in my freshman English class, and for some reason he didn't like me.
Oh, nice.
And he would call me a scum every day. He would be like, "You're such a scum," or something like that. But I had such an attitude then that I literally shoved him and would curse at him, which probably is why he thought I was a scum, because I had such a filthy truck driver mouth, like, fuck you.
That's amazing that you would push a boy to meet him.
I had it with him. I don't know why I had never said a word to him, so I don't know why he even.
Don't you know that boys, when I was growing up, a boy would pick on a girl that he liked.
I did not get that vibe from him, that he liked me and that's why he was picking on me. No.
Oh, and girls didn't.
No. It was definitely a like he was purposely trying to be mean. Like it wasn't that
Maybe
at all.
Somebody was mean to him at home, and he showed that aggression towards anybody that he felt he could.
He never did it after that. Like I don't think I, thankfully, ever had another class with him again. Like I went to the same high school all 4 years, and he went to the same school too, and I would see him because he was a football player for the whole time. He never said a word to me after freshman year. And it was strange. And then another kid in my freshman year, this is kind of a bummer of a story though, his name was Greg, I don't remember his last name, but he was like class clown. And at some point during school...
you want part of the banana?
No, I'm good. His mom died suddenly. Like she had like a heart attack and died.
Oh
like
my
just
God.
a sudden type of deal. Like an unexpected death type of thing. And he missed school, was gone for like a week, and then came back to school. And I can remember thinking at the time, oh my God, how can he even come back to school? I would be so bereft, if my mother died. But he was like never the same. Like that whole rest of the year.
How could he be?
Yeah, like the spark was gone. He was like the life of the party in school. He was like very funny and just up, and chatty and real popular.
His mama died. How could he be?
His mom died, and it was like, oh, this is so sad. And I think they moved, and he never came back. So I don't know where they moved, but it was a real bummer.
That's horrible.
So he,